It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Time for the top 3 stories of the day. KSLSports.com, brought to you by our friends at J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. Ugh, I just looked at what we're starting with. All right, Christian, what are we starting with today?
Number 1, it's Wednesday. That means we have some hot, fresh college football playoff rankings to talk about.
Hot, fresh something. BYU remains at number 11. Mm-hmm. They don't move after finishing the regular season 11-1. They have to win to get in. There is not enough shenanigans in front of them that could change that I think is going to allow BYU to leap the teams they would have to in front of them, because some of those teams are simply not playing this weekend either. So unless BYU beats Texas Tech on Saturday morning, BYU will be on the outside of the college football playoff looking in.
But somehow Duke has a chance.
Yeah, Duke might get in. Virginia might get in, right?
There might be 2 G5 schools.
Yeah. If Duke beats UVA and doesn't get ranked ahead of the G5 schools, there will be 2 G5 schools. And there's no way. If UVA loses, they're not getting in.
No,
they're at 17 right now, and they're a 2-loss team.
No.
So, no.
With a loss to Duke?
What a joke of a conference final, honestly.
Yeah.
And yet they're going to get – Miami could possibly squeak in. They would jump BYU, I would guess, if BYU takes another loss. The fact that Notre Dame is even ranked above BYU now is ludicrous. The other 2-loss teams, I guess you could make an argument. I mean, I think I could make an argument just as good as solid for BYU, but the other teams ahead of the Cougs are Oklahoma and Alabama.
But you have to understand, and what everyone has to understand, is the college football playoff is functioning exactly how it's supposed to. It's doing exactly what it's designed to do. And I know people think it was about fairness. It wasn't. And it never has been, and it wasn't last year, and they're not doing it again this year. And again, I've talked about this saying on the show before. The purpose of a system is what it does, meaning when something repeats itself over and over and over, believe what it's doing, and that's the design of it. If I say, Jake, I've got a great investment for you. You give me $25 a day, and I'm going to return 50% of your investment at the end of the month. And at the end of the month, there's never any money for you, and you still give me $25, and I get richer. The purpose of that system is for me to get rich and for you to lose your money. That's what the college football playoff is doing. It's for you to think it's fair so you can complain about your team getting in and your team doesn't get to go in. This was not designed to reward fairness. It was not designed to have equality or parity across college football. It was designed specifically to eliminate the Big 12 getting 25% of the shares of the college football playoff when they only had 4 teams and TCU makes it.
Yep.
They didn't want that. 25% going to a Big 12 school? No, so what we're going to do is we're going to expand it to 12 and say, wow, isn't that great? There's more opportunities. No, you get 1/12 of the pie now, as opposed to 25%. That's the design. This is functioning exactly how it's supposed to.
It is.
And now, are there victims? Yeah, the Big 12, the ACC, G5 schools. Yeah, all victims. But it was designed to reward the Big 10 and the SEC. Don't say you're getting screwed. You're not. It's functioning exactly how it's supposed to.
And specific brands within those conferences.
Absolutely.
Actually, I mean, if you want to look at it that way, it's true. Like, they're not going to bend over backwards for Vandy. They're not. They're not. It's specific brands within those conferences. And those conferences and the television networks that are pulling the strings for those conferences, Big Ten with Fox, and the SEC with the Mouse, they have snatched the brands that matter from the other conferences. This is all a delicate dance to push out as many schools as possible and to divide the pie as much as possible amongst those specific brands.
Give me which brands you're talking about.
Oh, well, I'll give you an example of 2 of them.
There's 6 really obvious ones, but yeah.
I'll give you an example of 2 of them. The Big Ten wanted to sell, what was it? It was like 10% of its media rights to a California pension fund for whatever $1 billion. How many schools are in the Big Ten now?
18?
That sounds right.
Something like that?
There were 2 that said, we're not doing this. 2. Guess which 2 they were? Michigan and USC. Ask me if they're doing it.
Are they doing it?
No.
Yeah.
So there's two right there.
Uh-huh.
Because the rest of these bozo institutions have been burning through money like drunken sailors and need a bailout from a pension fund in California. And USC and Michigan, why would they want to sell 10% of their media rights? They're doing fine. They're swimming in dough. They don't need that money. And so Indiana's like, we desperately need it.
Yeah.
And Michigan and USC go, well, we're not doing that. And USC's new to the league.
Mm-hmm.
How much? Even Washington and Oregon are taking a small cut. USC's not. Now, where is USC located?
Los Angeles.
Where is Fox Sports located?
Is it L.A.?
Yep. Sure is.
Yeah.
So you were surprised that USC and UCLA less so, get a lifeboat from Fox Sports? Well, right there in their backyard. How many USC people are on the Big Noon Kickoff now? One less because Reggie Bush is gone.
Yeah.
But Matt Leinart, I mean, they're one of them. Ohio State.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get into the SEC, and right now it's Georgia, but ultimately it's Alabama, Florida. Florida State used to be that. I don't know if you can include them in that anymore, and partly because they haven't been willing to join the SEC because they've got this stubborn pride. And now they're a shell of themselves. Miami is the same thing. Texas made the most savvy move. I mean, if Texas was going to stay Texas, they had to go to the SEC.
Texas and Oklahoma. I mean, Oklahoma is going to make the college football playoff. Texas has at least an outside shot. I don't think they're going to get there at this point, but they made it last year. Yeah, they're going to get in most years.
But how many other Big 12 teams did the SEC take?
Looking down the list, I don't see anybody. Two
now,
teams total.
They had taken Mizzou and Texas A&M before that, and they really took Texas A&M to dip their toe in the Texas waters. They would always have rather had Texas, and they eventually got them. Mm-hmm. We saw that when Utah was going into the Pac-12 with the swirl of rumors that was going around. Which conference would Texas pick, the Pac-12 or the SEC? And they ended up building a really specific deal for themselves in the Big 12 to just kick the can down the road 10 years until inevitably making the decision.
But going back to your the pension fund that was going to be split off, and the two top teams saying they didn't want to do it, or two of the most valuable teams saying they didn't want to do it, it's why the Pac-12 is dead. Because USC wanted to have more say in the Pac-12, or Oregon wanted to have more say, and they didn't give it to them, and they said, fine, we're going to go somewhere else. And they went somewhere else, and they killed the Pac-12.
Yeah. All they wanted, Ben, was they wanted the conference office in Southern California. They wanted USC to not get screwed by the refs, and they wanted USC to not play Washington State on Thursday after playing Saturday. And guess how many of those things that Larry Scott did?
None of them.
None.
Yeah.
Zero.
So,
and it was jealousy from the other presidents, by the way. It was always jealousy, and it ruined the conference.
Zoom out. Look at what's happened with the college football playoff once it's expanded to 12 teams. Look at how the Pac-12 died. Look at the teams that left the Big 12 to go to the SEC. It is all about the haves, the rich getting richer, and the rest just suffering off and going away. It's just they don't care. They don't care.
As soon as the Big Ten can carve off Purdue, they're going to do it. I mean, as soon as that relationship in those conferences and they can get rid of the lessers in their own league, they're going to do it.
Yeah. Right. It's happening. We're seeing it.
I saw a rumor about it this weekend. Now, it was from an entirely unreliable source, but they're going to go to 60 to 70 teams, and then they're going to cut it down from there.
They're siphoning off the big teams from the other conferences, so the other conferences will die. It's just that simple.
Yep.
That's what
they're doing. So
they
don't have to share. Yep. And so they're not going to give more piece of the pie of the college football playoff than they absolutely can justify.
And you can expand it to 16. That doesn't mean that other teams are getting in. They're going to justify ways to get their schools in more.
Yep.
That's it.
Next.
Number 2, cue up the MC Hammer. Show us your best dance moves. Kalani Sitake is here to stay.
Yeah, he is here to stay. Good for him. I think if it's true that he prioritized some systemic things inside BYU, I think that's probably a good thing. I find the price tag interesting, $9 to $9.5 million, although I kind of don't believe that, or at least believe that that's coming. That entire sum is coming from the university.
Well, Joey McGuire's getting $7 million a year plus certain bonuses that allow him to make a lot more than that. Maybe that's how Kalani gets to $9 million.
Right.
There are certain bonuses to get there. College football playoff, whatever.
I guess what I'm saying is he probably has $9 million in the bank. Not all of that came from.
Well, we know. Yeah, certainly
Brigham
it's not
Young,
coming from BYU. No.
Brigham Young University. I find it interesting that we're now seeing the price tag on BYU's coaches because that was never a thing before Kevin Young.
Nope.
Kevin Young was the first coaching contract that we ever learned about at BYU.
Well, things have changed. The winds have totally shifted. It's not the old BYU anymore. They don't want to be the old BYU anymore. They're happy to talk about how much they're paying players. They're happy to talk about how much their NIL fund is going to be. They're going to come. You're going to start hearing square numbers about this being a $25 to $30 million roster every year. I think you're going to start having a real understanding of how much.
Wait, Ben, stop right there. You told me that with the House settlement and the salary cap, that NIL stuff was not going to be relevant.
I don't think I said that, but some people believe that was going to be the case.
I was told, let me put it that way.
Yeah.
I was told that wasn't going to matter because they created the universities themselves are going to pay them, and that wasn't going to be a thing. You're telling me that's still a thing?
Yeah, the weird thing about all of that was, that didn't kill NIL. Now every team does have $20-ish million to spend however they want to
coming
spend.
out of the athletic department,
but your third-party NIL people can still be third-party NIL people and do whatever they want.
That never changed.
All it did was you gave you sent out checks to everybody in the country. It's like, that's why inflation goes up. It's like all of a sudden everyone has money now. It just raises the prices of everything. And I'm not, send everybody a check, whatever you want to do. I don't care. But I'm just saying, you gave everyone $20 million thinking that would
then
make
we can
teams
get
less competitive? What are you talking about?
That's just $20 million.
More. Yeah, it's just $20 million more to spend.
Coming from a different source.
And guess what? Now the quarterback who wants to make $6 million a year makes $9 million a year.
Right.
It's that simple. That's not hard.
And the Crumble guy's still involved.
By the way, what a brilliant marketing campaign he has been running for some time now. He's just on Pat McAfee, just like his photo. And now Crumble is everywhere this morning. That guy, he's on a heater.
All right.
Yeah, good for him. But no, it's good for BYU that Kalani's back. I'm a little surprised just because, and we talked about this yesterday, I don't believe Kalani's the only man for BYU. I don't believe that.
He might be the best man.
He might be. But if you had Jay Hill and the same resources, you think this is a bad team? You think they can't win?
No.
I think that's insane.
But I was also told that Gary Croton was an offensive genius coming from the Bears.
Well,
and that he was going to do.
Every coaching hire's a gamble.
I know.
And you do have Kalani who works. So you know that Kalani works right now. But I am a little surprised this idea that Kalani could be the only person to succeed there. I actually don't like that concept.
No, because Kalani and Bronco were entirely different people, and they
both won.
They both had success at BYU. Yeah, 100%. But who's a particularly sleazy coach? If they hired Ed Ogeron, probably not going to work at BYU, I'm guessing, because you have to be able to operate within BYU's framework. And Bronco and Kalani both figured out a way to do that. It's entirely different, though, because I remember when Kalani first got to BYU, the first year they had Jamal Williams and Taysom still, and they had a good record. I have to go look at it.
Did they still have Taysom with Kalani? I don't remember.
That might have been Mangum off the. Yeah. I'd have to go back and look, but they had a good season because they had this really strong.
Mangum off the mission was still Bronco.
They had this. Well, maybe it was Mangum's sophomore year then. We should just go back and look it up. But the point was, it was a decent season. And because they had all this strong leadership, is the reason I remember Jamal Williams, is because they had all these upperclassmen Bronco guys who had, Bronco's thing was discipline. They were really good at it. As those guys left going into the next year, Kalani was always, you worked with Gunther. Gunther didn't even play for Kalani. Gunther loved Kalani because he was a guy that really bonded with the players because he was charismatic and chummy.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can't necessarily be that as a head coach. So the next year, they suffered a lot of lumps, and there were these stories coming out about the disaster the locker room was in physically and all this stuff. And I still remember the press conference where Kalani said, or it was BYU Media Day, and it was the year after they had just given Tanner Mangum the job. And he said, I will never do that again. We will have a quarterback controversy going into the year for the remainder of my career. My point is, he learned a lot of lessons in how to be a head coach specifically at BYU and do it his own way. But his way at the beginning was not successful.
But I think you bring up a good point with Bronco, and Lavelle was there, and I know that skips the Gary Croton era, but look at BYU basketball. Dave Rose was a hell of a coach, and Mark Pope was a hell of a coach, and now Kevin Young's a hell of a coach. It's like, why do we keep saying that BYU can only win with one person, or that this pool that I recognize is a little bit more shallow because they only want to have LDS head coaches does change the conversation a little bit? But clearly you can win at BYU. Why would there only be one guy for the job? I just think that's a flat out wrong answer.
Yeah, but Rick Pitino wouldn't win at BYU. Even with the resources.
Sure.
Rick Pitino, or let me put it this way, wouldn't ultimately succeed. The coaching pool, it's not that it's dry, obviously, for the points that you just laid out. But the coaching pool is very shallow.
It is shallow.
Of coaches that will, it's shallow of coaches that will succeed, in my opinion, at Utah.
But you want to know one of the reasons why it used to be more shallow? Because BYU underpaid their guys, and they don't do that anymore.
Yeah,
that was one of the big issues.
That, and they were way more strict on things like entrance into school, transfers, not to mention the honor code. So a lot has
changed,
has opened up where that wasn't a thing for Bronco or Dave Rose.
Agreed.
So, all right, do we have one more?
We do. Utah Mammoth on a slide right now. They made some big roster changes yesterday ahead of their road match today at Anaheim.
Was sent down one young player in Simashev. He's going back to the AHL to play with the Roadrunners, and brought up Daniil But. While they have had serious flaws defensively, they also simply cannot score enough, and they've been terrible on the power play. And if you watch the preseason, Daniil But loves to shoot the puck, and they could probably use a guy with a little bit of that energy. Just somebody to step in and say, "Oh, it's a little wild. I guess if he's shooting, we should shoot too." I think that could be some help here. So we'll see.
It's interesting covering hockey in how different it is from basketball in a sense that, like, it's not just a one-man show. Like, Alex Ovechkin gets a lot of headlines because he puts up a lot of numbers, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee that the Caps are going to win the Stanley Cup. I know that seems like an obvious point, but you know what? If you have 28-year-old LeBron James, there's probably a good chance you're going to be in the finals because that's just how basketball works. And so following these, adjustments from a roster standpoint and utilizing the farm system is really interesting. And I wonder how they measure the impact that those movements make. Like, if you bring up a G League, if Oscar Tshiebwe is all of a sudden on your bench, it's not going to make a difference if you're going to win or lose.
At all.
At all.
No.
But you call up a young gunner from the Roadrunners or whatever, what kind of impact does that have? What kind of shakeup is that for a sport that relies a little bit more on the fist rather than the five fingers?
And we'll see that tonight.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more Jake and Ben coming up next. 97.5 DKSL Sports Zone.